Okay, so imagine, right? Imagine trying to navigate this crazy year like 2025 is going to be. And now, what if your internal compass, the thing that points you in the right direction, what if it was like super direct, like Aries rising direct, ready to just charge ahead,
Yeah.
but also your mind is just like racing with curiosity, all these different things, like a Gemini sun. What would that be like? For those of you guys out there who have this kind of dynamic combo going on, what kind of like unique paths and crossroads are you looking at for this year? Welcome to ASTRALX, illuminating your cosmic path. I am Solarian Zephyr, your cosmic strategist.
And I am Lunaria Celine, your intuitive guide. And today we're going deep, deep, deep diving into this whole astrological landscape of 2025. Specifically, we're looking at men. Men with this really fascinating pairing, Aries rising and a Gemini sun. And to help us out here, we've gathered all this awesome insight from a bunch of different astrological sources, just to help everyone understand the key energies that are going to be at play this year.
Okay, yeah, let's get into it. Like right away, Aries rising. This
Yeah.
is the face you show the world, right? So think about someone who walks into a room, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've just got this confidence, an assertiveness that just draws your attention. You can't help but look. And it's that Mars energy, that planet of action, right? That little bit, sometimes a little too much, ready, fire, aim. But these are the initiators. They get things going.
Mm-hmm.
Charismatic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Super loyal. Almost to a fault, I'd say. Although, it can be maybe a little too direct when they say things sometimes.
Yeah.
True, true. And it's so interesting how this outward energy, all that dynamism, how it actually blends with what's going on inside with that Gemini sun. At your core, there's this powerful intellect. There's this constant need to communicate, to talk about things, to share ideas, and then this remarkable adaptability. And that's all ruled by Mercury, right? The planet of information, always curious, always thirsty for more knowledge, and loving all the variety that life has to offer. This is the person who can effortlessly, just jump into any conversation and make it captivating, always coming with a fresh perspective, some kind of insightful little observation.
Right, right. Gemini suns, they're often, I think of them as the social butterflies, the ones who just light up the room. Quick wit, charming personality, and they're natural communicators. They really enjoy sharing ideas. It's part of who they are. And they value staying informed, being connected. But it's interesting, some of the sources I was looking at, they suggested that there's a little bit of a tendency to process emotions intellectually, before actually expressing them. Almost like they're running it through a mental filter first. Like, okay, how do I make sense of this before I share it?
Yeah, exactly. And when you put those two together, you often get what we call the agile initiator.
I like that.
Yeah, so you have that Aries drive to act, and it's supercharged by that Gemini intellect. So there's this synergy. It's this natural flow between wanting to jump into things, but also having that quick thinking mind to direct that energy.
This is where it gets really cool, I think.
Mhm.
Because you have these individuals, they can be such incredible conversationalists. They blend that directness, that Aries directness, with the verbal dexterity, the smoothness of a Gemini. Imagine someone who can, not only can they come up with this bold let's do this idea, but they can actually explain it really well. They can convince you. The sources we looked at, they highlighted how there's this mental sharpness and these strong emotional drivers, which to me that creates a really passionate, engaging person. But, and this is something to keep in mind, there is that potential, right, to have your energy scattered, to be impulsive, to act before really thinking things through.
And that kind of brings up this point, about balance, finding that internal balance, because you have that Aries side that wants to just dive into things head first. But then you have the Gemini side that wants to analyze everything, gather all the information, talk to people, get that external feedback. And Gemini is a mutable sign. It's all about adapting, changing. And so you might find that your interests, they shift pretty quickly. So learning how to focus, channel all that energy, that's going to be a big theme.
It's like you have this engine that's ready to go, right? But it's powered by this constant need for more knowledge.
That's fascinating. So let's look at how the cosmic energy of 2025 is going to interact with this specific blend.
Okay.
Now we know there's a big shift happening around May 24th. Saturn enters Aries. So what kind of impact is that going to have?
Saturn is all about structure. It's about discipline. And it really makes you focus on your responsibilities, especially long term.
Yeah.
So for those with Aries rising, you're going to feel this sense of accountability. You're going to feel it strongly. This is the time to really build those solid foundations.
Okay. Whatever you're working on, you've got to make sure it's built to last. And that Aries impulsivity, yeah, you're going to want to maybe temper that a bit. Take a more strategic approach. Instead of just leaping into things, think a few steps ahead. Plan it out a little.
And what about the Gemini sun side of this? How's Saturn going to affect them?
Well, Geminis, they love to explore all these different avenues, but Saturn's like, hey, let's focus that energy. Let's broaden your horizons, but in a more structured way. So maybe this means like committing to a really intense course, diving deep into a subject. Or maybe it means really looking at your relationships and saying, okay, what do I actually value? What do I want this to look like long term? This could lead to like more serious commitments, more stability. And the big theme here, it's all about learning to blend that Aries initiative, the let's go energy, with that Saturnian responsibility, building something that's going to last.
Wow. Okay, so that's a pretty significant shift.
Yeah.
What other big cosmic movements are we looking at for 2025?
Right.
I know Jupiter's also changing signs, right?
Right, Jupiter. So Jupiter's the planet of like luck, expansion, wisdom, and it starts the year in Gemini, which that's your sun sign, right?
Hmm.
And it stays there until about June 9th, and then it heads into Cancer. What do you think about that initial placement in Gemini?
Well, having Jupiter in your sun sign, that just sounds like a huge boost, like for personal growth and expansion, especially in how you express yourself, your core identity. And that could actually amplify that Aries rising confidence even more. It's almost like the universe is giving you the green light to just go for it.
Exactly. It's like a spotlight is shining on your personality. It's a time for Geminis to really explore their intellectual side, connect with people, maybe even step up their communication game. But then, like you said, around June 9th, Jupiter moves into Cancer. So the focus shifts, and it shifts internally.
Okay. In what way? How does that look?
So the energy comes much more about home, family, your emotional well-being. It's about nurturing those bonds you have with your loved ones, creating a safe and supportive environment. There's even potential for like expansion in your home life. Maybe you move to a bigger place, or, you welcome new members into your family. So the year starts with all this outward personal growth, but then it guides you back inwards towards, emotional security and connection.
It's interesting. It's almost like, you're charging ahead, you're exploring, and then you're coming back to center. Okay, but hold on tight, because Uranus, the planet of, sudden change, innovation, and sometimes a little bit of chaos, I'll be honest, is also making a move. A short one, but significant. It enters Gemini from July 7th to November 7th. That could really shake things up, right?
It could. Uranus is all about breaking free. Breaking free from those old patterns, those limitations. It brings those unexpected events that you didn't see coming. And it just throws a surge of like innovative ideas your way. For those with Aries rising, this transit through Gemini, it might manifest as like a craving for more freedom,
Okay.
more originality in how you express yourself, your identity. Get ready for some serious inspiration, and don't be afraid to experiment, to try new things. It's like this jolt of creative energy.
And for the Gemini sun, I mean, that's their home turf.
Oh, it is. This is a time for like a major reshaping of who you are at your core. You might feel this urge to like break free from routines, try unconventional things, especially in your relationships. It's all about spontaneity, that desire for freedom. The big theme here is change, big personal change. Be ready for the unexpected and be open to those sudden shifts.
Okay, so we've got responsibility, we've got growth, we've got sudden change. What about the more intuitive side of things, the stuff we don't always see coming? Neptune is also making a kind of a temporary visit to Aries from March 30th to October 22nd. So what kind of energy is that going to bring?
What comes to mind when you think of Neptune? What's its vibe?
Dreams, illusions,
Yeah.
that connection to spirituality, idealism.
Yeah.
It's less tangible, it's more fluid.
Right. It's subtle. And when it goes into Aries rising, it can bring this drive, this powerful drive that's fueled by new ideals,
Okay.
a desire to take action, but it's inspired by something deeper, something maybe even spiritual. But you've got to be careful here, because the line between dreams and reality can get a little blurry. Your intuition will be heightened, but you might also be seeing things through rose-colored glasses.
So how does that like ethereal energy play out for the Gemini sun? What does that look like?
Well, Geminis, they have that quick mind. Neptune can boost that creativity, even bring in some like psychic insights. Ideas will flow and they might manifest really quickly,
Yeah.
like boom, boom, boom. But that fluidity, it can also blur the lines even more between what's real and what's imagined,
Yeah.
especially in how you communicate, how you think. So the key here, embrace that inspiration, let it flow, but stay grounded. Don't get lost in the clouds.
Okay. This is a lot. We got a lot going on here.
We do.
And finally, we have the lunar nodes. They're shifting into Pisces, North Node, and Virgo, South Node. And this is for a longer period from January 11th, 2025, all the way to July 26, 2026. What kind of journey are we looking at here? What's the long-term evolution?
The lunar nodes, they're like guideposts on our path. The North Node is where we're headed, the qualities we're meant to develop, and the South Node, that's what we're leaving behind, the stuff we're outgrowing. So with Pisces North Node and Virgo South Node, it's all about embracing intuition, compassion, that big picture thinking, and letting go of overanalyzing everything. That need for perfection. The strictly logical approach, it's like the universe is saying, hey, let's move from the head to the heart a little bit.
So someone with Aries rising, how are they going to experience this nodal shift? What's that going to feel like?
They're going to feel this pull to be more intuitive, more compassionate in their actions,
Okay.
especially in how they initiate things. It's less about forcing things to happen and more about leading with understanding and empathy. And they're also going to have to learn to let go. Let go of that need for everything to be perfect, to be planned down to the last detail.
And for the Gemini sun,
Yeah.
this is big for their identity and how they communicate, right?
Huge. It's about trusting your gut, that inner knowing. It's about understanding things on a deeper level, not just intellectually, and not getting so stuck in the details, not overthinking every word you say. It's about moving beyond just the intellect and connecting with something deeper.
Okay, wow. So we've got all these cosmic currents happening in 2025. How is this specific combination, Aries rising, Gemini sun, going to navigate all of this?
It's going to be a ride.
It is. Let's start with career and ambition. We know they've got the drive, the adaptability.
Mm-hmm.
What can they expect in this area?
What strengths do you think will help them the most?
Well, I think that Aries rising gives them that natural leadership, that I can
Yep.
do this attitude. And the Gemini sun gives them the communication skills to back it up. They can adapt to whatever gets thrown their way.
Yeah.
That sounds like a recipe for success.
It is, but don't forget Saturn.
Right.
Saturn's moving into Aries, and it's bringing discipline. It's saying, hey, think long-term. Build a career that's meaningful, not just something that looks good right now. And Jupiter, especially in the first half of the year, that's a great time for growth, for making connections, for learning new skills.
Yeah.
But then Uranus comes in, and things get a little unpredictable.
Right. Uranus is going to shake things up.
Exactly. Career changes might happen suddenly. New industries might pop up. You might feel pulled to do something totally different. You've got to balance that ambition with that grounded Saturnian responsibility.
Yeah.
Think about what kind of legacy you want to build. What do you want to be known for?
Okay. And what about relationships?
Relationships.
What's going to happen there in
Yeah.
2025?
So we know they crave passion, excitement. That's the Aries rising. And they're social, great communicators. That's the Gemini sun. So they're going to be amazing partners, friends, but Saturn's going to ask them to put in the work,
Okay.
to really commit, to work through those challenges that come up. It's about balancing personal growth with the needs of the relationship. It's about learning to compromise. But then, thankfully, Jupiter moves into Cancer later in the year, and that brings this beautiful, nurturing energy. It deepens bonds. It creates emotional security. You might even meet someone new, someone who really connects with you on a soul level. And Uranus, remember Uranus?
Yeah, the
A
chaos.
little bit of chaos, but it's good chaos. It brings spontaneity. It brings that need for freedom, which both Aries and Gemini love. It's all about finding that balance. Your needs, their needs, the dynamics of the relationship.
Okay, so that's a lot to think about.
It is.
What about personal growth?
Mm.
This whole year sounds like it's full of opportunities to learn and grow.
Oh, it is. You've got that Aries, I'm ready for a challenge energy, mixed with that Gemini curiosity. They want to know everything, learn everything, and Saturn's there to make sure they're serious about it.
Right.
It's about setting goals, putting in the effort, and Jupiter amplifies that, especially when it's in Gemini. It's like, you can learn anything, you can do anything, and then Uranus and Neptune come in and add their own special touch.
Okay, tell me about that.
Uranus in Gemini, that's about reinventing yourself,
Wow.
breaking free from those old beliefs that are holding you back. It's like a rebirth. And Neptune in Aries, that connects you to your intuition, your spirituality. It gives your actions a deeper meaning. And the lunar nodes, they're always there, reminding you to trust your gut, to let go of that need to control everything.
Okay, this is incredible. But with all of this happening, they have to make decisions,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes those decisions need to be made quickly.
Mhm.
But we also know that they like to analyze everything. So how do they navigate that?
They have to find that balance
Right.
between the Aries impulsivity and the Gemini overthinking.
And luckily, Saturn in Aries is there to help. It encourages them to slow down, think things through. Jupiter gives them that wisdom, that bigger perspective. But Uranus, well, Uranus reminds them to be flexible. Things might change quickly, and they need to be able to adapt.
It's like a cosmic dance.
It is.
You know, it's really cool to look at this combination through like different lenses, the ancient view and the modern view. What do we learn from doing that? What do we see?
In ancient astrology, Aries was all about new beginnings, that initial spark. And Gemini, that was the intellect, communication, the duality. So this combination, they're the pioneers. They're the ones who start things, explore ideas, and they can communicate those ideas really effectively.
And what do modern astrologers say about this combo?
They emphasize that compatibility between Aries rising, the fire sign, and Gemini, the air sign.
It creates this dynamic energy, a lot of outward expression. But they caution that fire and air can be inconsistent if you don't learn to channel that energy. And they also talk about that inner struggle between Aries' impulsivity and Gemini's tendency to overthink things. It's all about finding that balance.
Wow. So for the men out there who are stepping into 2025 with that Aries rising drive and that Gemini sun intellect, this is going to be a year of huge growth and transformation.
Absolutely. It's about embracing both sides of yourself, that drive, that intellect, using them together to navigate everything this year throws at you.
And paying attention to those cosmic players. Saturn, teaching you about responsibility. Jupiter, bringing opportunities and emotional connection. Uranus, pushing you towards freedom and change. Neptune, guiding you with intuition. And the lunar nodes, reminding you to balance the practical with the spiritual.
It's about self-awareness. It's about balancing that energy with thoughtfulness. And it's about being open to change.
With all these forces shaping your path, how will you navigate 2025? How will you illuminate your journey? This has been Solarian Zephyr, your cosmic strategist.
And Lunaria Celine, your intuitive guide on ASTRALX, illuminating your cosmic path.
If you found these insights helpful and you want to learn more about your personal cosmic blueprint, we invite you to explore a personalized astrological reading. You can find a purchase link in the description below. Discover your unique celestial story delivered right to your inbox. And be sure to subscribe to ASTRALX so you don't miss any of our future deep dives. May your journey be filled with starlight and profound understanding.